Hello and welcome back to this channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to draw a fall wreath in Adobe Fresco. So let's just get started. Unlike all my previous videos, I'm not going to directly jump into drawing this illustration, but before that, I want to show you how I go about my process a little bit. I know some of us out there have never seen fall in real life because maybe you grew up in a tropical country like me where we don't have the concept of fall. I want to go ahead and Google a little bit about fall wreaths. I do this just so as to get an idea of what's out there and what are the different styles and what are the different elements that go into that fall wreath. So once I Google this, I just scroll through and I see the different kinds, and I think I really like this one where it's not completely covered with leaves or foliage or whatever, but it's like partially covered, and that is something which I really want to incorporate in today's illustration. And also I want to look at the different elements. For example, I see a pumpkin here, and I think that would definitely go into my illustration as well. And there's some flowers which looks good as well. They are red and some of them are orange and stuff like that. And the basic color theme I see are obviously browns, oranges, reds and yellows. So that's what we're going to use in our illustration as well. And then we're going to add a quote in the middle. That's totally optional. So I just Googled some fall quotes as well. And there was one which said, "I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers." So we're going to add that to our illustration as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up Fresco. So for this illustration, I'm going to go ahead and choose a square because our wreath is going to be circular. So a square would be perfectly fine. It's totally up to you. Choose anything that you want. I'm just going to click on the custom size. And in here, I will just select inches, and in here I can give anything I want, and I think I'm just going to give 30, and yeah, 30, and then 30 here as well. And make sure your lock is unlocked here, only then you can change them both. And it's a 72 ppi. I just really don't care about it much right now. If I was using only vector brushes, this wouldn't matter so much, but since I'll be using a lot of other kinds of pixel brushes as well, it would be a good idea to keep it higher. But I'm just going to leave it because I'm just creating this for the tutorial, and click on create document. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring in my sketch. So usually I sketch things out depending on all the elements that I have, but since I've done that already, because so as to speed up the process a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it in here. Don't worry, I'm going to share this sketch with you so that you can use it in your illustration as well. So click here, go to your photos and bring in your sketch. Okay, our sketch looks fine, and click on done. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on these buttons right here, or levels right here, and change this to multiply because I want this to be visible throughout all the layers beneath it. And obviously decrease the opacity to as high or low as you are comfortable with. Okay, now I created a new layer, but I want everything to be under the sketch layer. So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and create a circle so that we'll use it as a base to create our wreath. So let me go ahead and click on shapes. Click again and then go to basic shapes and click on circle. So this becomes a circle. Now I'm going to increase this size so that it covers a little bit of the circle sketch that we have. So you can stop at this and you can say fill, and you could do vector or anything you want. You could stop at this, or as you can see, it created one more circle right on top of it. So I'm just going to go back and keep it here and reduce this size so that there's a little bit of gap around. And now I'll click on erase. And this is going to create a circle without a fill, just an outline. And once you're done, click on any brush and you'll have a circle ready. So we can actually go ahead and decrease this size, the opacity of this as well if you want, or you could give it a completely different color. It's totally up to you, but I'm just going to keep it at this opacity. Now let's go to a new layer, and it's time to create or draw all these things out. So by the way, I'm going to be sharing the color palette for this. You can go ahead and click on your image and download it as well. So it's going to be something like this. So once you have these colors ready, all you have to do is go ahead and pick a color, click on done. Okay, I'm just going to keep it on top. Okay, so if you want to choose a color from this color palette, all you have to do is click and hold on a color, and then it shows up here. So just go here and then go to your recents, and you can just add it over here. Sometimes you don't even have to add it if you just make a mark on your screen. For example, let me just show it to you. If I select this color and if I just do this, now if I go to recents, it'll already show up. So if you don't make mark, you just have to click on the plus button and it'll add it to your palette as well. Okay, all right, so I'm not going to be using the color palette which I just brought in, because I want to show you how you can choose your own colors without having to depend on anybody else. So let's just go ahead and uncheck that, and I'll come back here, and I have some elements here, so I'm going to clear that off. So let's start off by creating these leaves right here. I'm going to go ahead and choose some yellow and obviously bring this all the way to the top, but I want it a little orangish, like, you know, a warm yellow. Now we have to choose the brushes. So the brushes that I'm going to use for this illustration are all one of those free brushes that come with basic Fresco app. Like, you don't need any subscription or anything to get these brushes. They're completely free. So the brush that I'm going to use for drawing all the elements is going to be something called as ink. And under ink, you'll find something called as Belgian Comics. And we're going to use that brush to draw everything out. So let's start off by drawing the first thing, that is these leaves. See that I'm not sticking to the sketch? That's because the sketch is a very raw form and you don't really have to stick to it. And let me go into yellow again. I'm going to move this a little bit over here so that now it is a little lighter and brighter yellow. I just want to tell you guys that I'm going to go ahead and draw all the elements in separate layers, like each color, because it'll give me more freedom when it comes to arranging it in this breath. So let me just click on new layer and then draw this out. These two look very similar, so I'm just going to go ahead and edit or change the color a little bit. I'm going to draw this one as well. So it's just no, I'll make this on a separate layer. Okay, and a little bit here as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and draw one here, but I'm going to make it on a separate layer. Okay, so next up are the orange leaves. So let's go ahead and pick some orange, a bit orange, I guess, something like this, new layer, and maybe move this right above the other leaf layers. I'm going to use the same color for my pumpkins. So let me go ahead and just draw them out like this. Next layer, and now let's make these other leaves, which I'm going to keep it a bit red. So I'm just going to move it over here and bring this down a little bit so that it's a little darker red. Let's go ahead and draw this. That looks good. I want these two florals to be that same color as well, so let's move it behind the pumpkin layer right now. Let's go ahead and pick some orange now. Something brighter. Okay, that should be good. And let's make these two flowers right here. Choose the same orange, and I'm going to go ahead and make some circles right here. And now let's go ahead and draw these leaves right here. So click on new layer, and this one I want to make it a bit of an olive green. Just gonna go on the new layer and draw these leaves out. They look good there, and I'm gonna go ahead and make one more here, like click on new layer, and I think I want a leaf right here, so it's going to be like that. It's not included in the sketch, but we're just gonna draw it. Let's go ahead and put it behind that, and it should go behind the yellow leaf as well. The only thing left is this block here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the topmost layer, click plus, and we'll choose something brown. So go to orange, and this brown is okay, I guess. And it's just gonna be something like this. Okay, let me just quickly go ahead and uncheck the sketch and see what's happening right now. Okay, as you can see, it's a very, very crude illustration right now, and obviously there's a lot more work to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this I button to show the illustration. So you can try and go ahead and make this even more lighter, just so that you can see a faint line on where your lines should be. So now we're going to go ahead and arrange these things so that we know where each item is going to be. Okay, So let's go ahead and check each one of these things right now. So these yellow blobs should be on the top, and I think they are on the top, so that should be okay. So the flower should be behind the pumpkin. That's perfect. And I think I want this yellow leaf above the orange flowers, and we're gonna go ahead and move this behind these so that the leaves are on top. And then everything else looks fine here. Okay, now it's time to add some outlines to this. So what you can do is you can go ahead and start making these things on top, but I would highly recommend that creating an outline, for example, for these flowers, create a layer right above that so that you have a little bit of organization going on over there and you don't have to worry about where things are and stuff like that. So let's just click on plus, and I'm going to start off with the orange because why not, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to click and select the color, and always go ahead and make it a bit darker, something like this, and then we're going to go ahead and draw. These are going to be our rough lines. As you see, I'm going outside the colored part. That's okay, that's intentional. Okay, now let's do the red ones. Click on plus, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the red color and make it a little more darker and do this. Okay, and since we have red somewhere here as well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find that leaf. There they are, and then click on the new layer, and we're going to go ahead and give it an outline. And when you're doing this, make sure you bring it and join the black circle that we did so that everything is kind of joined to the circle. And I think our reds are also ready, and now it's time for the, I don't know, the other leaves. Let's do the orange ones. Go ahead and select the color. Bring it down a little bit, not too much. Let's go ahead and do the green ones. And there's one here. For the yellow ones, I think I'll choose a brown. That's good too. And let's go to the pumpkins now. So now I'm going to add a bit of darker brown. So I just chose my brown, and you already have an idea of where your pumpkin line should go. As you can see this. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose some white, and we're going to add some highlights to it. So click on new layer, and let's make some highlights. And we're going to reduce the opacity of this layer a little bit. Okay, so now all that is done, and it's time to add things to these bubbles right here. So let's go ahead and choose the orange one first and click on new. And we're going to do the same thing as select the color and bring it down a little bit so that it's a bit darker. And in here, I'm just going to go ahead and make circles. But it's kind of matching with the brown one, so I'll have to change that a little bit, I guess. More lighter, okay. But I'm not going to draw like a proper circle. Can you see this? And also, I'm going to draw some empty circles here like this. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and bring a stalk so that it comes all the way down. And now it's time to make these yellow ones. So let's go ahead to the yellow. And you can actually make it above this. Go click on plus and choose the yellow. There you go. Let's make it a little darker. It's a bit greenish now. So for this one, since it's completely filled out, I'm going to make circles, but I'm not going to cover everything. So as you can see, quickly go ahead and uncheck the sketch and see how it looks. Okay, this looks fine. Okay, so now I'll show you a way to change colors once you've already created these things, because I think I'm not really happy with the color these circles turned out. So I'm just going to go ahead, click on mask layer contents, and then swipe You should be in reveal, by the way, and swipe. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose some other color, a bit darker brown, I guess. I think that might look good. And I'll increase the size of my brush now because it'll be easier. So I can just draw like this, and this is going to cover and make that whole area into that color. Okay, there you go. So you could do this particular technique to anything on this screen right here. So if you feel like these orange things are too dark, for example, let me just go ahead and do that because I think it's too dark. Mask layer content, swipe, and I'll just choose that color just for the sake of it and go back here. And now let me go ahead and color it and make it a bit lighter like that. See, that's so easy, isn't it? Everything is ready, but it's not complete yet. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead. I actually want to be in the bottom, like right above the circle that we drew, because this is going to be in the background. That is these twigs. And now let's go ahead and choose some really dark brown and just reduce the size 50. Okay. And just draw some twigs like this, like that. And you can actually make it a little lighter and create one more. And even now let's go and make it really dark. So now I'm going to show you how to like fill that thing in. I'm just going to scribble like this. Do you get it? So it's basic scribbling. So let's go ahead and press a new layer, and I'm just going to scribble like that in here and draw a bit of a thick line here. Dry twigs should be coming up. I'm going to scribble so that it looks like there are some twigs behind these things, you know. And we don't want it to be a big blob, but just a bit which looks like twigs, like that. And you can actually reverse the direction if you want, and obviously make some twigs like this as well. That'll look good too. And as you can see, I'm making it all in one direction, right? Like that. So you could do that as well. You don't have to stick to it, but you could do something like that. That was a little too much. Okay, and now when you come here, you can start off scribbling like this. Okay, so you can actually go ahead and select a much darker black or whatever as well, and try to fill in this a little blocks here so that it gives a little bit of contrast to your illustration. So you can go ahead, oops, that's too thick. Make sure you're in a very thin format. So there you go, your fall wreath is ready. I think I overdid this a little bit. You don't have to do so much of it. You can just basically do a bit and then it should be fine. And uncheck this layer right here, which has the circle. We don't need it anymore. And now let's go ahead and add some text. So I'm just going to go to the top layer. You don't have to. And create a new layer. And let's just type in, I'm going to use the same brush. So that's done, but it's not sitting properly. So I'll just go ahead and click on the transform tool and maybe reduce the size a bit and move this a little up so that it sits nicely like this. Now, if you don't like the color, I showed you the technique of masking. You can use that and change the color. And once you're done, you can leave it as it is, or you can change your background color as well. So I'll show you how to do that. Let's go to the bottommost layer, click on plus and go to your fill tool here. And we're going to choose some color. I'm not planning on giving it a background, but I'm just doing this so that you guys can see it. And then click vector, anything, and you can give any color that you want. I don't want to do that. I like having a white background, so I'm just going to stop at that. So, okay, that brings us to the end of this tutorial, and I really hope you liked it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll get notified every time I post a new video. So don't forget to pick up the sketch and the color palette if you want from the link in the description box below. And also, I hope you enjoy Fresco, and I'll see you in the next video then. Bye-bye.